My name's James. I work at a video game company called Activision, and we do a lot of games. We work on Call of Duty. We work on Skylanders and other games called Destiny, and we also do mobile games. And what I do at Activision is I work on characters. And today, I'm going to show you a little bit of how we do characters at Activision and kind of take you through the process and from start to finish really quickly so you can kind of get an idea of any of those video games you're playing on your Xbox or your PlayStation or your telephone, kind of how they're made. So what I'll do is I'll kind of switch my screen here to show you what we're doing. And let me know, hey Peggy, let me know if you see
yeah, we see it.
Switches over.
Yeah.
Move the screen out the way. You can
Oh.
see the other people.
Do I need to move the?
All we see is Wolverine.
Can you see it?
Yeah. I'm gonna move this Skype. I don't know.
Go.
I think. Maybe I can lower.
Is that Batman
Let me
or Black
lower the
Panther?
Skype.
Why would that be Batman?
No, it's because it's two heads right there.
Yeah, but
And I
that's
think that Black Panther.
Okay, there we go.
I think that's the steps to make it look like it.
Wait, but then what's number 1 and number 2?
That's the stealth.
Number 1, number 2, number
That's how it
It's
looks
the
like.
style.
That's how it looks like, and that's how it develops.
That's how
Yeah.
number 4 is
That was
how
Black
it's
Panther.
Are you there?
And one was like this.
Okay.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you kind of you see what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, my. It's a
Do you guys see the Wolverine character right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So I'm going to talk about 4 major parts of making a character in games. And I'm going to be using this guy here that I made a while ago. It's Wolverine that I made. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with Wolverine. He's been in a lot of movies and video games. And I'm going to take you through the steps of kind of how to do it, and you can kind of see how it's made. And so what we do in video games is, with video games, all the characters are in 3D. And so the way we do it, the way we make them is the very first thing we start with is this thing you see here, which is a cube. And the cube is made of this very basic element called a polygon. And if any of you have ever worked with a program called SketchUp, it's very similar. And polygons are kind of the building blocks for any characters that you see in any game you play on your phone, on your tablet, on your Xbox. And so a polygon is just simply a 4-sided square, and you can take that 4-sided square and make it into really anything. You just have to have enough of them. So when we make characters, we always start with just that one polygon, and we build it out to make the full character. So we will usually start with what you see here is just a cube, and with the cube, you can start to really divide it up and make it into smaller cubes. And the program I'm using here allows me to do that really easily. So with this cube, I can quickly start to slice it up and make it into smaller cubes here. So now you see it's just turned into a bunch of smaller cubes. And when I do that, I'm able to start to grab parts of the cube and start to move it around. So you can see now it's no longer a cube, it's got kind of a roof shape. I can grab these edges on the cube and move it up. Really simple stuff, but this is how we construct everything for characters in games. We also use, this is how we construct everything for trees or buildings, monsters, and anything you see at all is how we do it. And so when we've taken that cube, we can start to kind of get a rough block out of our character here. And so you can kind of see I'm starting to build the arms, the head, the torso, and the legs. And just like with this cube here, I can start to add more divisions and shrink things down, start to kind of, if I want to make the wrist, I can do that. And I can start to build the shoulder out more. And if I want to get the torso to start showing up better, I can add a little edge here and bring it out. And that's really how it all starts out. Really rough, really basic, but you're sort of working from scratch and detailing it out as you go. And so if I worked on this for a while longer, I would begin to get something a little bit more detailed like you see here. And you can kind of start to see that I've connected the arm over to the torso. I've started to shape the head better. And it's really using all the same tools that I was showing you here. I'm just adding more edges and more polygons that I mentioned. I'm getting the feet to look kind of like the way I want. And the best way to look at this is this is going to serve as kind of our canvas to end up making this guy over here next to him. And to really get all the shapes and the details you want, we can't do everything inside this program. So what we have to do is switch to another program that we use to make characters, and it's more like sculpting in clay. If you've ever used clay, it's really the same concept. So what I'll do is I'm gonna switch my screen over, and hopefully you should see a different screen now. Okay, so now we see that same character over on this screen. And again, when I zoom in, you can kind of see he's made up of those same little squares that we've always been looking at. We started out with that one little polygon and we build them out. But what we can do in this program is we can start to, we can do what we call sculpting. And so in sculpting, it's a little bit more fun. We take those polygons and we start to subdivide them. And subdividing is where we basically take the polygons and we make them smaller and smaller and smaller so that we can sculpt on them and get all the detail we want. And so now that I've made those polygons smaller, I am able to take them and start to sculpt them. And the cube is just the cube or the character. He's just made it up. Again, that same simple polygon. That's all they're made of. And we're just taking those and we're making a whole bunch of them and sculpting and shaping and making those characters. I think that covers it. Does anyone have any questions?
Question. Come up here and ask if one at a time.
They're gonna have to. They'll probably have to come up close to the screen.
Okay. So you ask the question. Go ahead.
Hello.
How do you make this, like, things like
Oh, the claws? We can do that. This guy, they don't go in and out, but if they were, we would probably grab those polygons that I talked about and just shrink them all the way in, kind of like that. Scale it right in like that. And just keep the process on the other side too.
Okay. Okay, Devin wants to ask you a question.
Sure. Yes. Yes, I did. I did work on Black Ops 4. And the way we do all the characters on Black Ops 4 is exactly the same way that you're seeing here with Wolverine.
Okay, next. You have a question?
Did you make the characters on Fortnite?
No, I did not. No, I did not. I did not work on Fortnite.
What type of
what type of technology do you use for when you use this, making people on the games?
What kind of technology for the people in the game?
What kind of software did you use?
So that's a good question. It's mainly the software. I can give them a big arm, give them a smaller arm, give them small wrists. I can kind of go in there and carve in parts of them that I want.
That's cool.
So you can kind of see his muscles are starting to get formed. And it's really fun. This part of the process is really fun. You can kind of start to visualize everything you want really quickly. And so, same thing with the face. If I want to go in there and start to give them a nice, brow line, give them some eyeballs. You can do it all really quickly. I wanted to kind of go over here and bring his nose out. Grab his nose and bring him down. And you can get really detailed. You can kind of go in with a small brush and start to carve in part of his face. If you wanted to get the mouth there. Get it all sort of grouped in. So that's how we add all those details you see on those characters in those games you play. We're just sculpting them just like you would sculpt with clay. It's not very technical. It's a lot more fun. You're able to have a lot of fun with it and make it the way you want. And so, in this phase, it can take this is probably the longest part of the whole process because you have to really spend a lot of time, add all the muscular details. Let's go over here. You can kind of get that part of the arm in. You can grab the move tool, and if I wanted to bring this part of his head out, bring that part out. I wanted to bring his stomach out a little bit. You have to bring his stomach out. You can really do anything you want. Okay, out like that. And so once we're done with that part, it'll end up looking like this. This is kind of the finished result of a lot of hours of work. But you can see in here, it's just using all those tools I was talking about to kind of go in and adding all those little details and everything.
One of them wanted to ask you a question.
His mouth has been sculpted in. And then made his eyes. Same thing, you can always take those tools and make the, you can also add color. Nice process, so once you've done all the sculpting, you can add the color in. Turn that off for a second. That's all there really is to it. It's just a matter of taking the time to sculpt that clay. Get it the way you want. If I wanted to kind of bring his elbow out, you can kind of stretch the elbow just like you would with clay. And that's really how all those aspects work. If I wanted to remove some of the hard edges there, I can go in and smooth that all out, or I can undo it. And so the sculpting part, that can be the most fun. It's the most time consuming. Once you're done with all the sculpting, you can go in and start to color him. And coloring is kind of the same way that you color him in Photoshop. You're just grabbing a yellow brush or a blue brush and just adding that color right on top. And so once we're done with all the sculpting, since this guy is so detailed and he's really very high resolution character, we can't put him in the on the Xbox right away. We have to do some tricks to sort of make them look good on the Xbox without making the Xbox slow down and sort of wonder why you've just put this really crazy high resolution sculpture in there. So going back to our other program.
That was so slow.
Jump over.
How long does it take you to make one character?
This guy probably takes about 2 weeks.
Oh.
Oh, going back to this guy. So going back to this guy, you can see all the detail that we were doing in the sculpting program is showing up here. But we have to do a few things to get all that sculpture detail to transfer over. And one of the first things we have to do is we have to tell the computer, hey computer, I'm going to give you a map, kind of like a geography map, where I take this guy and I flatten him out completely, so that you have a map of knowing where all the color and where all of his muscle details are and everything. And so we literally take this guy's body and we flatten him completely, just like if like a steamroller ran over him. And so we have another program here where you can see where that's done. And so
That's fat.
you're looking at this right now. He is completely flattened. And
It kinda looks
see
fat.
there's his arms, his face, there's his legs, there's his belt right there on the side. And what that does is it tells the computer, it gives it kind of a series of coordinates of where the character is to be painted. And the other thing we have to do is we have to take that sculpture we did, and we have to have the computer use a lot of math, and it creates an image. Well, and that image is what we call a normal map. And so what the normal map is an image that stores all the sculptural information that I made, that you saw earlier, where we were having fun and just sculpting. It stores that all into an image so that the computer can display all that detail onto a really simple model. And by model, I mean this guy. So you can see that if I, sorry, hold on one second. You can see that this guy, he doesn't really have any detail on him. And that's because in order for the Xbox to play with this guy and see him running around and everything, we have to use that normal map to display it. So you can kind of see here, this is just the normal map showing up, and that's allowing a lot of that fake detail to show up on this really simple model. Kind of a hard concept to understand, but any game you're playing on your phone or your Xbox or your computer, that's how everything is made, is with having this normal map on these really simple models. And so, going back to the other program, now that we have our normal map, we can start to bring that color over, and we can also start to add, grunge, so skin color, add all the little highlights and everything you can see on his body. And we do it the same way that we work in Photoshop. You guys have ever used Photoshop, it's all kind of the same thing. We have layers, so we can turn all that off. You can go in and add these little highlights here. And that's how we make this texture. And the texture part is probably the easiest part because the computer kind of helps me make everything really fast. But once we've got all that done, we still have a problem with this guy, which is he can't move. So we have to figure out a way to make him move around and run around. So let's turn all this part off. Can't move yet. So what we have to do is we have to create a skeleton for this guy so that he has a skeleton which will allow him to move. And so we create a skeleton right underneath. And after we've kind of fitted the skeleton inside his body, we take those polygons that I talked about before, and we attach those polygons to the skeleton itself. And so once we have that skeleton and the polygons attached, we can then take the skeleton, and when we move it, it allows his arm to start moving around. And then if you have an animator on your team, the animator can take that skeleton and he can start doing lots of fun things with the guy. So he can start to really move his arms around and lift his legs up and move his head, move his torso forward. And let me just see if I can load some kind of fun animations for you guys. Let's see. Here is animation. So this is the guy Wolverine walking around. Again, that's the skeleton underneath his body doing all the work.
Wow.
Got a very cool move going on. What else we got here? Do an attack move. So you can see him swiping his claws. Really fun. We can always go back to his regular pose. And so that is how we do all the characters in games.
He missed it.
No, I don't think I can make them do a backflip today, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, no backflips for Wolverine today.
Anybody else have a question?
That's it.
Madison? Or what? I always call you Madison. You have a question? Come up here, honey. Yeah. Oh, you should, then, okay. Okay. Chase Chance.
Could you like make like somebody else and you can like attack?
So can he attack somebody else?
Yes.
He can, but not in this demonstration. He's all by himself today. What you're seeing is just him alone. So he can do some moves for you. I can load him up doing his little walk again.
How long do it take you to make a video?
How long does it take to make a video game? 2 to 3 years.
Oh, whoa. Oh.
That's about how long it takes these days. There's so much detail and everything that we have to put in the game, and the budgets are very high, and takes a long time, and we have hundreds of people that work on it now.
Did you help make Fortnite?
That's a competitor. He doesn't do Fortnite, it's all Call of Duty kind of stuff.
No, I did not, but the way that this Wolverine was made is exactly the same way that all the Fortnite characters are made.
Can you make a Fortnite player one day?
Can I make a Fortnite player one day?
Yeah.
Maybe, but not today. I normally work just on Call of Duty.
Do you play Fortnite?
Never
You guys are
played
just
Fortnite.
into Fortnite, aren't you?
Yeah, Fortnite's a popular game. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Did you make Iron Man?
Why is everybody coming over here?
Iron Man? I have not made Iron Man. I did work with somebody who made Iron Man, though. But I did not work on Iron Man myself. But Iron Man is made the same exact way that we make him the same way that we make this Wolverine guy.
Can you show us how to make it all?
Can I show you how to make what?
How you make it
I can't, I'm sorry, I can't hear that last part.
Can you show us how you make it all?
The claws. Oh, sure. The claws are really easy to make. Grab the, put them back in his standard pose here. So the claws, I can duplicate his claws here for you. Okay, so here's his claws, and claws are pretty simple. Hold on 1 second. So the claws are really easy. What you do is, like I talked about at the beginning, you would start with a box like this, and you want to take the box and you kind of want to think about what a claw would look like, and you would just start grabbing the faces here. Sort of bring the top part in, and then we have a lot of nice tools in here that make it easy to do this. So I would grab this face and I would do what I call extruding. You would extrude this out, and then to make that really sharp, pointy tip right there, I would grab that face and just scale it all the way in, and then maybe pull that out there, and then bring this in like that. And so there's one claw, and then I want to make the two other claws, so I would just grab and duplicate that one. Make one more. And they seem a little straight, so maybe we'll rotate the outer ones in. There you have 3 claws.
So it'd be
So yeah, I'm gonna ask a question. We have the Adobe Creative Cloud. So
It'd be
they
5
wanted
hours?
to
5
practice
minutes.
on Adobe, what
Look like
programs would they use?
hours.
that they should get good at?
This is night mode.
Did you say, so,
But they use Photoshop and
Hold on, I try to look up in here.
okay,
No, I have
well, if they
pauses.
want to do, kind of work like this,
Dang, why is
they
it
would
so
want to
blurry?
get
So
they
blurry.
would probably want to get this program,
it's blurry.
this is
Look at it
3D
now.
Studio Max, it's not
Is it
owned by
blurry?
Adobe, it's
Is it blurry?
Autodesk.
No.
Oh, I think we have a subscription to, I mean, lots of software we can get free
Mhm.
because we're educators. And so
Yeah,
I think we looked at Autodesk, we changed
Yeah,
that.
that's cool.
yeah, Autodesk does have a educational license, which is, I believe,
You
fully
had
free.
this camera
and
was
then,
$6,000.
So 3D Studio Max,
like 2,000.
I would recommend that one.
It was a lot of money.
This is the one, that's the one I've been
Like
showing
2,000.
most of today.
$2,000.
And then the other big one is
It's expensive.
ZBrush. So ZBrush is the sculpting one. That one's the most fun because there's not a lot of, there's not much technical about it. It's just getting a brush and going in there and
No, it costs more than
shaking
that.
around and having fun.
It costs like
I don't
2,000.
know what
like
kind
in
of
the middle.
educational licenses they offer for that
Like
one,
2,000
but if you check their website, they would tell you, I'm sure, right away. And then,
It's in
and then
between.
actually, the third one,
Like 300,
Substance
200.
Painter, they just got
I mean,
bought by
3,000,
Adobe.
2,000.
And so, it'll probably
lot
end
of
up
money.
being in the creative class pretty soon, I think.
We get that on 3 computers for my 20
How
dollars.
does that go?
A lot.
Pretty good. Okay, do you guys have any other questions? You wanna say thank you?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was great.
Thanks for watching, hope it was fun.
Yeah, we'll send you a video of your presentation because we recorded it on the screen, so it should turn out good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
For our project, one of our projects.
Okay, bye.
Feast. Huh?
Oh, wasn't that